You ever notice how even in like the age of instant information, there are still so many myths surrounding sexual health?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Like,
it's crazy.
yeah, a game of telephone gone wrong, except the consequences are a lot more serious than a jumbled message.
Right. A lot more serious.
Yeah, so today we're doing a deep dive into a video titled 10 Sexual Health Myths Busted.
Okay.
And we're on a mission to equip you with the facts so you can make informed decisions and hopefully have healthier and more fulfilling experiences.
Yeah, and I think even if you consider yourself pretty well informed in this area,
Yeah.
you might be surprised by some of the things we uncover.
I was definitely surprised by a couple things.
Yeah.
For example, did you know that showering after sex doesn't actually prevent STIs?
It's something that I think a lot of people believe for sure.
It makes sense on the surface, right?
It does.
Like wash away anything left behind and you're good to go, but...
Right, it's like you're clean,
Yeah.
but that's not really how it works.
What's the reality?
So showering is great for hygiene, but it's not a shield against STIs.
Yeah.
The way that STIs are transmitted is through direct contact,
Okay.
skin to skin, or through fluids. It's not like there are germs just hanging around that you can rinse off.
Gotcha. So what does this mean for someone who wants to stay safe?
Condoms are the MVP in this situation.
Yeah.
They create a physical barrier, preventing that direct contact we were talking about. And of course, regular testing is key
Yes.
to knowing your status and
Yeah.
taking appropriate action.
Great advice. Okay, next myth.
Yeah.
Get ready for this one. You can get pregnant no matter what position you're in.
It's so funny because
I know.
it's one of those persistent myths that just won't die.
It really is.
It just keeps coming back.
I feel like there's so much bad information out there surrounding this topic in particular.
Well,
It's unfortunate.
sex is something that people like to whisper about and not talk about openly.
Yeah.
And when you do that, it just creates space for these myths to fester.
Totally. And we're all about busting those myths here.
Exactly.
So the truth is, sperm's journey to an egg is determined by biology, not gravity.
Yeah.
So the takeaway here is that understanding how your body works
Yeah.
is crucial for making informed choices about pregnancy prevention.
Absolutely. And speaking of pregnancy prevention, here's another myth that might surprise you. You can get pregnant even when you're not ovulating.
Wait, really?
Yeah,
I always thought ovulation was the only time you had to worry about it.
right.
What's the deal with that?
It all comes down to the lifespan of sperm. So sperm can actually survive inside the female reproductive tract for up to 5 days.
5 days.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a lot longer than I realized.
It is. And this means that the fertile window, the time when pregnancy is possible, is actually longer than many people think. It's not just about the day of ovulation itself.
So even if you're not ovulating on the day you have sex, there's still a chance of pregnancy if sperm are already present.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's why consistent contraception is so important,
Okay.
not just during ovulation.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Let's talk about a method that many people might be familiar with.
Okay.
The withdrawal method, or pulling out.
Yes.
Seems like a good idea in the heat of the moment,
Right.
but how effective is it really?
So it's not as effective as you might think. And while it may seem straightforward, there are a few factors that make it quite risky.
What are some of those risks?
So pre-ejaculate, the fluid that's released before ejaculation,
Yeah.
can contain sperm.
Oh, wow. I did not know that.
Yes. And that means even if you pull out in time, there's still a chance of pregnancy. The video we're looking at cites a pretty startling statistic. 22 out of 100 couples using withdrawal will have an unintended pregnancy each year.
Wow.
That's a lot.
Yeah, that is a lot. What are safer alternatives?
Condoms and hormonal birth control
Yeah.
are far more reliable options.
It's important to remember that when it comes to something as important as preventing pregnancy, relying on a method with such a high failure rate is just not worth the risk.
Right. It's better to be safe than sorry.
For sure. Now let's move on to another common myth. The idea that oral sex is risk-free when it comes to STIs.
Yeah, I can see why people might think that,
Yeah.
but it's not entirely accurate.
What's the truth?
So STIs like herpes, gonorrhea, syphilis, and even HIV can be transmitted through oral sex.
So what measures can people take to protect themselves during oral sex?
Condoms and dental dams are essential
Okay.
for safer oral sex.
That's a really good point. We're talking about sexual health in a holistic sense, and that includes all types of sexual activity.
Absolutely. And while we're on the topic of sexual health in general, It's crucial to address another myth, the idea that everyone has the same sex drive.
Yeah.
This can lead to a lot of unnecessary pressure and self-doubt.
Oh, totally. I think a lot of people compare themselves to others and wonder if they're normal when it comes to their libido. What are your thoughts on this?
I think it's important to understand that libido is a complex thing. It's influenced by numerous factors, including stress, mental health, age relationship dynamics, and even medication.
So it's natural for someone's sex drive to fluctuate over time?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And if you're in a relationship, open communication with your partner is key. Don't compare yourself to others or feel pressure to match someone else's libido. It's about finding what works for you as individuals and as a couple.
Now let's delve into a myth that can have significant implications for protecting yourself and your partners. The belief that you can only get herpes from someone who has visible sores.
Right, this is where the concept of asymptomatic shedding comes in.
Okay.
This means that the herpes virus can be transmitted even when there are no visible sores present.
So someone could unknowingly spread the virus?
Yes. That's why open and honest conversations with partners about sexual history and any potential risks are so important.
Yeah.
And of course, consistent condom use is key in reducing the risk of transmission.
This next myth we're tackling perpetuates some pretty harmful stereotypes. The idea that men are always ready for sex and women are not.
Such a classic example of an outdated and frankly sexist assumption.
I mean, come on, we're in the 21st century.
I know.
Right.
It's essential to remember that everyone is different.
Yeah.
And sexual desire can fluctuate for both men and women due to a myriad of factors.
Exactly. And in healthy relationships, it's all about mutual understanding and communication.
Yes.
Not pressure or assumptions based on outdated gender stereotypes.
Totally. Now, this next myth might surprise some folks. Baby oil is not a good choice for lube.
You know, I've heard that before.
Have you?
But I'm not really sure why.
Yeah.
It seems harmless enough. What's the issue with it?
Well, for starters, it can break down latex condoms, which defeats the purpose of using them for protection in the first place.
Oh, wow. That's not good.
Big problem. Additionally, baby oil can disrupt the natural pH balance of the vagina, which can increase the risk of infections like yeast infections.
So what are some safer alternatives for lubrication?
Water-based or silicone-based lubricants that are specifically designed for sexual health
Okay.
are the way to go. They're safe to use with condoms and won't disrupt your body's natural balance.
Great advice. And finally, we're going to address the myth that sexual dysfunction only affects older adults.
This is a harmful myth
Yeah.
because it can create stigma and prevent people from seeking help when they need it. Sexual dysfunction can affect people of all ages.
It's so important to remember that. So what are some examples of sexual dysfunction?
Erectile dysfunction, low libido, and difficulty achieving orgasm
Okay.
are all common issues that can occur at any stage of life.
What's the most important message to take away from this?
Don't be afraid to seek help if you're experiencing any kind of sexual dysfunction.
Yes.
These issues are often treatable,
Right?
and seeking help early can make a huge difference in improving your sexual health and well-being.
Well, that was a whirlwind of myth busting.
It was.
But I think it really highlights how crucial it is to be informed about sexual health.
I agree.
Now, how about we take a moment to reflect on what we've learned
Okay.
and discuss what it all means for you, the listener.
That's good.
So, after all that myth busting, what's the big takeaway here?
Well, I think the most important thing is to realize that accurate information is essential when it comes to sexual health.
For sure.
You know, we've seen how relying on myths or misinformation can lead to risky behavior and potentially serious consequences.
Yeah, it's like we were saying before, knowledge really is power in this context. Understanding the facts empowers you to make informed decisions about your body and your relationships.
Exactly, and it also helps you advocate for yourself and your needs.
Right.
Like, for example, knowing that sexual dysfunction can affect people of all ages might make you feel more comfortable seeking help if you're experiencing any issues.
That's a great point. And speaking of seeking help, it's worth emphasizing that this deep dive is just a starting point.
Right.
If you have specific questions or concerns, it's always best to consult with a healthcare professional.
Absolutely. They can provide personalized advice and guidance based on your individual circumstances and medical history.
This deep dive wasn't about telling anyone what to do, but rather about giving you the knowledge and resources to make your own informed choices.
It's exactly. We're hoping this episode has sparked your curiosity to learn more and to keep questioning the things you hear, especially when it comes to sexual health.
Yeah, it's so easy to fall into the trap of believing myths or outdated information, especially with a topic that's often considered taboo or surrounded by societal pressures.
It's true, but as we've seen, the truth is often more nuanced and complex than the myths we might have been told.
Yeah.
And it's by embracing that complexity and seeking accurate information that we can truly take control of our sexual health and well-being.
Well said. And it makes you think what other health topics might be riddled with misconceptions. Maybe this deep dive can inspire us all to be more critical consumers of health information in general.
Absolutely. Whether it's about sexual health, nutrition, mental health, or any other aspect of our well-being, it's crucial to approach information with a healthy dose of skepticism and to seek out evidence-based sources.
I love that healthy dose of skepticism. It's like having a built-in BS detector for the information overload we face every day.
Exactly. And it's about being curious, asking questions, and not being afraid to challenge assumptions or beliefs, even our own.
It's a continuous learning process, right?
Definitely. The world of health and science is constantly evolving, and it's up to us to stay informed and adapt our understanding as new information becomes available.
It's a bit like keeping your sexual health software updated.
Yeah.
Making sure you have the latest version to navigate the complexities of life.
I like that analogy. It's about staying informed, being proactive, and advocating for your own health and well-being.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the final thought you'd like to leave our listeners with?
I'd say this: never underestimate the power of knowledge when it comes to sexual health. The more we know, the better equipped we are to live healthy, fulfilling lives. And that's something worth striving for.
Yeah, that is a powerful message. Knowledge as the key to a healthier and more fulfilling life. That really resonated with me, and I hope it did with you too.
It's one of those fundamental truths that applies to so many areas of life, but especially when it comes to something as personal and often misunderstood as sexual health.
It's been quite a journey, hasn't it?
Yeah.
We started by tackling those persistent myths that can really trip people up, and we ended by talking about the power of knowledge and informed decision-making.
Yeah, and hopefully along the way, we sparked some curiosity and encouraged you to think critically about the information you encountered.
Absolutely. We wanted to give you the tools to navigate the complex world of sexual health, to feel empowered to ask questions, and to advocate for your own well-being.
And remember, if you're looking for more information or resources, you can always check out the links in our show notes.
Yeah, we've compiled a list of reputable sources that can provide further guidance and support on all the topics we discussed today.
And if you have specific questions or concerns, please don't hesitate to reach out to a healthcare provider. They can offer personalized advice based on your individual needs and circumstances.
That's such an important reminder. We might be diving deep into these topics here, but ultimately, your healthcare provider is your best ally in navigating your own sexual health journey.
Exactly. They can help you separate fact from fiction, address any concerns you might have, and make sure you're getting the best possible care.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into sexual health myth-busting, what's the one thing you want our listeners to walk away with?
I'd say this: embrace your curiosity. Keep learning, and never be afraid to ask questions. When it comes to sexual health, knowledge truly is power.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into sexual health.
It was my pleasure.
Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and most importantly, take care.